everyone. 6 o'clock Eastern this Sunday evening. I'm Poppy Harlow in New York. Thank you so much for being with me. We begin this hour with the race for the White House and the man leading the GOP pack, Donald Trump. For the very first time tonight, he is releasing details on how he plans to tackle immigration if elected president. The headline on illegal immigrants, quote, "They have to go." Here is what else is in this plan. He wants to end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. Also, he wants to have Mexico pay for the wall along the southern border. He will triple the number of ICE agents, also cut federal grants to so-called sanctuary cities. Here he is this morning on Meet the Press.
We have to make a whole new set of standards. And when people come in, they have to come in.
So you're going to split up families?
Chuck,
you're going to deport children?
Chuck, no. We're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep them together out?
But they have to go.
What if they have no place to go?
We will work with them. They have to go. Chuck, we either have a country or we don't have a country. Either we have a country or not.
How do you do it?
The cost of doing it. Look at the cost of what we have right now.
The cost of doing it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think
I understand that, but how do you do it?
Do you think there's tremendous cost for the illegals that are in here right now?
Of course there's cost to it.
Tremendous. Do you think there's tremendous crime being committed by illegals?
There's definitely evidence that it's happened. It's
tremendous, far greater than what
heinous ones.
And you see it all over just last night. All over. We will do it, and we will expedite it so people can come back in.
It's still not clear.
Chuck, it'll work out so well. You will be so happy. In 4 years, you're going to be interviewing me, and you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump.
Let's talk more about this, the plan and the race overall for the White House. Roger Stone is with me again. Thank you for being with me, sir. He is former political advisor to Donald Trump, also a longtime Republican consultant. He left the campaign a week ago, still though good friends with Mr. Trump.
I'm in the Trump movement.
Okay, in the Trump movement. You heard it here. Going through this plan, I laid out some of it. Is this a realistic plan?
Yeah, this is really very typically Trump. It's something that is part of his management style. He goes to the smartest people. This is very much like President Eisenhower. He selects really good people. He gets as much information as he can, and then he relies on them. He went to Senator Jeff Sessions, who has really been the leader in the Congress for serious immigration reform. He helped him formulate a realistic plan. Those who say that you cannot pay for the wall, you'll never get Mexico to pay for the wall. We pay Mexico $268 million a year in foreign aid. Trump could deduct the cost of the wall from their foreign aid payments, and if I know Trump, he'd charge them interest.
Let's talk about one of the most controversial parts of the plan, ending the birthright citizenship, right? Changing the 14th Amendment in this country.
Yes, it's a radical and bold plan. We have a major problem. It's going to take a radical and bold solution. But for those who say that Trump has no policy prescriptions, I would point out the book he wrote in 2011, Time to Get Tough, which is being reissued in an update August 1st by Regnery, and it's all there. Immigration, job creation, China, immigration. He's laid out a plan.
So you're saying it's radical. Here's the other thing. Donald Trump has said, I will win the Hispanic vote. He said that time and time again. Ending the birthright citizenship, also saying, and he said this to Chuck Todd on Meet the Press this morning, the so-called dreamers, that he will send children born in this country of illegal immigrants back to Mexico with their families. Does he risk alienating some of the Hispanic vote that he wants and says he will win with that?
I think he hopes to offset that by the fact that he stands for an economic boom. A rising tide lifts all boats.
So you're acknowledging that might hurt him a bit there.
No, what I'm saying is I think he has a chance to win the Hispanic vote because the Hispanics in this country are very industrious, hardworking people, but there are no jobs and there is no opportunity. Consequently, I think he is hoping to make an economic pitch to Hispanic voters.
Let's turn to foreign policy. Fascinating to hear more details from him this morning on how he would deal with Iran and also how he would deal with ISIS. He told Chuck Todd this morning on NBC he wants to, quote, knock the hell out of ISIS. He said we should take over their oil fields, and he said the U.S. should have boots on the ground to fight ISIS and basically overtake the oil fields, run them, and get the money from them, not the Iraqis. Is that the right approach in the Middle East?
This has been his position for some time. We were told that we would be paid back for the war in Iraq. We were not. We never took the oil. Now oil is the greatest weapon of ISIS. They have $1 billion operation to take this country down.
Do the American voters have the stomach for that? Do they have the stomach to go back with boots on the ground?
I think you have to look at the situation other than to say the one thing Trump really abhors is the tendency of the Obama administration to announce sure plans. We're going to start bombing next Thursday.
But that's not what I asked, and I hear you on that. But what I asked is he betting that the American people are ready to go back in?
I think that he understands that ISIS is an existential threat to this country, and they have to be destroyed, and he will destroy them, and he'll do what it takes.
Now, you also made the point that he takes issue with the administration saying what they're going to do.
Yes. Because
how much clarity would the American public have about military operations overseas before they happen under a Trump presidency?
Well, I don't think we would telegraph to the enemy exactly what we were going to do so that they could counteract it. That's the foolishness of announcing constantly what your military moves are. I have no doubt that Donald Trump would find his George Patton. This is what he does. He finds the best people. He downloads all the information, and then he lets them do what they do. This is why, like Eisenhower, he'd be a great president.
I want to play a comment for you and our viewers, something that Donald Trump said just a few days ago here on CNN, and get your reaction. Let's roll it.
Here's the point, Chris. I didn't sit down and draw a plan that tomorrow I'll go and have a meeting. The next day I'll go and make an offer. I went in and I got it. I went in and got Turnberry in Scotland. That's one of the great resorts of the world. Everybody wanted it. I didn't wait around to do a 14-point plan. I went in and got it. So a lot of this stuff, you don't want to hear about the plans. You got to get in and you got to get it done. Yeah.
And he also told a reporter at the Iowa State Fair yesterday, you, the press, want these big 14-point plans from me. The voters don't want it.
I actually think that's correct. Look, I think presidential politics is about broad themes. He needs to tell you where he's going. But, you know, President Gingrich was the man of you know, wonkism and heavy-duty multi-point plans. The voters' eyes start to glaze over. You're going to talk about changing.
So why'd he put out this 6-page plan?
Because I think this plan is an outline. It's 6 pages. That's the point. But you see exactly.
Not 60 is what you're saying.
You see exactly where Trump stands. The voters aren't going to read a white paper. They want to see the bold strokes. What are the 3 or 4 things you're going to do?
You know, I had a woman on last night from the Iowa State Fair on the show last night who was talking about why she's supporting Trump. Her husband is unemployed.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people see the unemployment rate, 5.4%, and they feel like things are so much better. For so many Americans, there's pain out there, and it's the jobs argument that is resonating with a lot of them. What is fascinating when you look at this new Fox poll, right, of the Republicans doing well. You've got Donald Trump at the top nationwide, followed by Ben Carson, and then Ted Cruz. It reveals establishment Republicans like Jeb Bush, Scott Walker, Marco Rubio falling, and the outsiders are rising. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the revulsion with our corrupt political system and the rejection of career politicians. Notice the 3 candidates moving up. Trump moving up. Dr. Ben Carson moving up. Carly Fiorina moving up. Why? Outsiders, not politicians, people who come from a different discipline, medicine, business. It is not coincidental that our 2 greatest Republican presidents in my lifetime didn't come from politics. Ronald Reagan and Dwight Eisenhower, one from the military, one from as an actor, as a movie star. So the people are fed up with a system they perceive to be broken, and they realize that all these other candidates have been gorging on special interest money, that they're unlikely to ever really bring real reform.
Who would Donald Trump pick as a running mate?
Well, my view would be that at this juncture, I would look hard at Dr. Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina. First of all, an African-American would be used.
He slammed Carly Fiorina time and time again.
Yeah, and you know what? George Bush slammed Ronald Reagan, too, and he got on the ticket. Politics, let me add one other. Lyndon Johnson hated John Kennedy, and he got on the ticket. So politics is about winning. It's about inclusion. And I'd look at those 2 because they're non-politicians.
Did he tell you that?
No, this is my opinion, but I think it's obvious from these poll numbers. The American people want bold solutions from people who aren't part of our fetid political system.
Roger Stone, such a pleasure to have you on.
Great to be here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it so